Okay, thank you, Marshall. Hi, everybody. Today is September 24th, 2025. This is the CALPADS Wednesday Q&A, and my name is Alex Thandi. I'm a data analyst here at Census supporting CALPADS, and driving for us today will be Mr. Gary Gerber.
Oh,
Now, moving on to announcements. There really isn't much, just Census Day is next Wednesday. Hooray. Now, for those folks that are new, what does that mean, right? Census Day is basically when we're reporting what we're reporting for fall 1 and fall 2. So imagine that we're taking a picture next Wednesday of whatever's happening in your schools, and that's what you're reporting to us. So you don't actually have to do anything in CalPads next Wednesday. Nothing is due, so you can breathe a sigh of relief there. At least for CalPads, there's nothing due next Wednesday. But in CalPads, what you're going to see is that revisions will start running. And so this used to be a bigger deal before because that's when you could start seeing your certification errors. But now that we have the data discrepancy screen, you can see them now. You don't have to wait for the revisions to start running. So this shouldn't be a big surprise anymore like it used to be before. So all that to say that next Wednesday, you will see the certification reports will start rendering for everyone. But if you still have data discrepancies errors, certification errors, then it really doesn't make much sense to look at your certification reports now anyway. So just keep calm, carry on, and keep resolving your DDs. And I think that was it on my end. Angela, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Just our usual, we did have a release go in yesterday, and then if you mentioned this already, I missed it, but we don't have anybody from the CalPads operations office on the call with us today. The SPED office is here. I think Dominic is here, but just keep that in mind when you're asking your questions because they are SMEs on a lot of topics. They are busy today. And that was all I had today, Alex.
And Dominic, you're representing all of CDE today.
that's a lot of folks. We don't have any updates to announce.
All right. So then we're going to start with our questions. Let's see. We're starting off with Tanya from UKIPA. Question 1 says, do we need to report specific data fields for the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, ELOP, or is it enough to simply indicate if a student participated by providing their program start and end dates? Will we also need to report attendance dates and minutes? So I think there was a flash that came out that talked about what will be reported for expanded learning. And this is in the new LEAP file, right? The LEA program, the new program file that we have created. 305. Thanks, Gary. And so for the expanded learning, or for, yeah, expanded learning programs, what we're asking for is any student that, what's it called? Registered, or what's the word I'm looking for? That said that they were going to be in it, whether or not they actually participated in a program is a different.
Eligibility?
Thank you. Yeah, because they sign up for it, right? It's towards the end, I think. Gary, if you keep scrolling, it's quite a long flash.
The CFS says that they use the word enrolled. They were enrolled in the program but did not participate. So it's the total number of days that they participated, and that may be 0 if they were enrolled but never participated.
Exactly. So Tanya, if you have a student who enrolled but didn't participate, like Angela said, you'd have the days equal to 0. But if they did participate, then you give us a number of days in there. Program start and end dates, we're not collecting that for the LEAP file. And neither are we collecting the dates and minutes for the LEAP file either. So Flash 305 has a lot more information if you wanted to take a gander at it. Next, we have Laura from Santa Rosa. Question 1 says, in ERDs, if a student was exited with an E140, no known enrollment truant in the 24-25 school year, and has no further enrollments in CALPADS for that year, and then returns at the beginning of 25-26 school year, why is this considered an ERD? The student was missing for the majority of the previous year. Is it possible to update the logic to use school years for a period of time? Yeah. I don't think the logic is considering time frame at all, right? I think it's just looking at the next enrollment. But I don't know if this would be an enhancement request. I don't know if this is something that we can do.
There is logic in the dates. I don't know if it meets what Laura's asking, but if you were to, Gary, navigate to the ERD screen, do you have test environment up? I don't want you to
I have
accidentally show any
staging. I don't have
kids.
test, I have staging.
Oh. So don't actually do it because that page does have students on it. Laura, you can do this on your own, but it has the dates that are used at the very top of the screen under the reporting period. So it's got the exit from and through dates, dropout from and through dates, grad from and through dates, and no show from and through dates.
I think Kareem posted the date range on there. The one that's on the anomalies page, right?
Right.
That's right, I did forget. Okay. So we're going to go to the next one, which is Lou. Question 1 says, my SPED team mentioned that there is a new BER code blocking technique. Do you have info regarding this? I haven't heard, and so behavioral incident report is what BER stands for. That would be like our restraint and seclusion, like a new code for that. And I haven't heard of a new code. I don't know if anyone else has. Doesn't sound like it, Lou. Unless it says the SPED team. So Dominic, do you have any insight on that?
No, I haven't heard about it, and I searched the code sets and I couldn't find anything.
Okay. So Lou, if your SPED team has any documentation that you want to share, you can send that up our way.
Audrey says it's not a CalPADS code. It's coded in
Okay.
CalPADS as a restraint.
Oh, so it's just another form of a restraint, I guess. Okay. We'll move on. Next up is Corey from Chasta COE. Question 1 says, we have a student who was enrolled at our juvenile court school July 1st through July 2nd and was exited with an E400 reason. They were then re-enrolled at the same school on July 10th. They are 17 and in 12th grade. What exit reason should we use in this situation? So E400 should be used only for students that are outside of compulsory ed age. So that would be less than 6 years old or 18 and over. So if the student was enrolled in a juvenile court school and then I would think, I mean, they would be exited to another California school, back to their home district. Oh, Corey says they did not have another enrollment between those dates. And then Chrissy says that they use 168 for exits from our juvenile facility.
Referred back to their school and district of residence. That seems like the right one to use.
So yeah, so I would say, yeah, T168. Moving on to Teresa. from Plumas Unified, question 1 says, we are currently receiving Plan 390 F1 through Plan 397 F1 errors for a student because although the meeting was held on June 4th and all transaction indicators were updated to yes in our SED system, except the agency representative, which is NA, which I understand is compliant, the parent has not signed the amendment after multiple attempts, so the transaction to report to CALPADS has not been created or reported. If we do not have a signature prior to Census Day, should we update the indicators to no instead of NA in CALPADS to remove the errors? We would then continue to pursue the signature to have these updated for EOI since the no responses are still considered non-compliant.
Teresa, I think that's the perfect course of action. You wouldn't be updating, they wouldn't be NA on the old plan, they're probably blank, just to be aware of that. But yes, changing them all to no so that there is a response in those fields will pass the validations for fall 1. And then, of course, as you said, you want to pursue that signature to get the plan approved so that those indicators can be updated to yes as appropriate, which will impact your indicators if they remain as no for end of year.
Thank you, Dominic. Corey, I see your question 2. We'll circle back. Teresa, I see your question 2. We'll circle back on that too. Dawn from Trinity COE, question 1 says, one of our districts has a 3rd and 4th grade teacher who will be leaving on October 3rd. They've arranged for 2 retired multiple subject teachers to team teach the class until the position is filled. How should this be reported in CALPADS? Should one be designated as a teacher of record and the other reported as a substitute, or is there a different way CALPADS would like this reflected? So the good news is that Census Day is October 1st. So we just missed all this by like 2 days. So that teacher would still be teaching on October 1st, and that's the teacher that you report, even though you know that they're leaving 2 days after, right? If on that day they're the teacher of record, then that's who you report. Moving on to Mia. Question 1 says, what are some practices that can cause a district to be disproportionate? Oh, this is Dominic. As in actually disproportionate in real life, rather than inaccurately appearing to be disproportionate due to inaccurate data.
Audrey has some good examples, but essentially it boils down to either disciplining or over-identifying or placing students in a more restrictive learning environment based on the race ethnicity criteria, that you're doing that for a particular group more often than other groups. Again, Audrey's examples are pretty good. I would recommend reaching out to your FMTA consultant to talk to them about that, because that's kind of what they work with and work through with districts. So reach out to your FMTA consultant and see if they have any guidance for you there as well.
Okay. Next up is Susan, High Tech High Charter School. Q1 says, it's course code 1000 the appropriate code for an SDC class if the education specialist instruction credential is for mild, moderate disabilities and moderate severe disabilities? So special day class. I know we have an FAQ on this.
Well, what would I look for?
Special day.
Special day.
To next one. Because I think we advise that there are 2 different ways. And I think there might be one more, Gary, if you go back,
Okay.
go forward 1 or 2. Yeah, here we go.
Here we go.
That's the one I was looking for. So I guess it depends on how your teacher is instructing the class, right? At least from this FAQ, it says if the teacher is providing instruction in all subjects, then it's appropriate to use the 1000. or otherwise if the teacher is providing students primary instruction in one subject, then use the actual state course code that they're providing instruction for. So I don't know that I don't know that we can answer in terms of credentials. Unless, Dominic, you feel comfortable with that, but I think this is a CalSAS question if it's a credential.
I agree with you. Yeah, I don't have a good answer for this.
Yeah. And so your monitoring authority should be able to answer that question. Otherwise, CalSAS would be the people you want to reach out to for credentialing purposes. All right, moving on to Sharmila. Question 1 says, we are getting a GER 5 for a student. The plan adoption meeting was held on September 2nd, but the student enrolled and started attending school on September 16. How do we resolve this issue? And then Audrey responds saying, change the plan effective start date to September 16th. And Sharmila responded saying, we do have the plan effective date as September 16th. And you're
Yep.
getting a GER 5.
That would have been my guidance as well, to update the plan effective start date.
I think
Couldn't
for
be the date,
uh-huh.
maybe the school CDS code or LA CDS code. So there are reasons for an ownership. Could just be the reporting LEA as well as the dates. That are the only reasons you would get a GER 5.
Audrey added another question: which file is triggering, the MEET, the SWIDS, the plan, or the service record? Because there could be different reasons for GER 5 depending on the file.
Sharmila, if you wanted to, I think this would be a great ticket if you can provide the SSID and, oh, it's the plan file. Interesting. Yeah, then I would definitely submit this as a ticket because if you have the effective start date of the plan as September 16, then you shouldn't have an issue. But I think we'd want to take a look at the specific student. And if you have the job ID where you're getting that GER 5, that would be even better. Thank you. Moving on to Alice. Question 1 says, for the MEPS ODS download, what would be the preferred settings for downloading? Active or date range? Enrollment start date, end date, record history all, or most recent? Sorry, this will be the first time downloading it. I don't know that we have a preferred method.
I did find out something yesterday though. The record history for now, since it's new, if you select all or most recent, you're going to get the same thing because if there's, it's not going to pull the old 135 records. I found out from requirements yesterday. Someone had reported they're getting the same thing whether they put all or most recent. Going forward, as students get more records, the all will give all their MSIN or I'm sorry, MEPS records. Or if you put most recent, you'll get the latest one. But for now, until there's more data, you're going to get the same for these two choices.
Also, common sense would dictate you use 7-1 since this is the first day of the academic year. But the earliest matching happened on 6/19, which included the students that were already foster from the transition. So try to use 6/19 as the added since date, or what was that that part there? Yeah, record added since.
Or leave it blank.
Yeah, I've been telling people to leave it blank.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to point out is that our user manual has all this information and also some information that was provided in the flash. So when in doubt, I would say always start with the user manual because that's my best friend. Maybe it should be yours too because it has all the information that you can think of. Kudos to Karen for getting all that updated all the time. But if you go under the functionality map and then under extracts, and I believe that, it's the last one, MEPS. So you can find a lot more information on how you can, all the different variations that you can pull the extract by. Next, we have Doug. Question 1 says, I understood that there would be a weekly announcement on the welcome screen that would indicate when the migrant eligible program students MEPS file was updated so we could pull an updated file. Do you know when the announcements will start, or is there a schedule of when the data has been updated? I know that we had a change request for that. I don't know if that went in or the user story went in.
I don't know where it is in the queue, but it is coming. So it's supposed to be a weekly file, and I don't know what day it comes. Do you know, Alex?
For some reason I want to say Thursday, but I could have just been making that up.
That's where my head was at too. It's like, I'll just be making it up if I say.
But that the messaging should be there now. That when the user story got closed.
It's coming. I don't know where it is.
Oh,
I can take a look while we're talking here, but we can move on to the next question and I'll speak up if I find it.
okay. Sounds good. I'll leave Doug in there. So next we have Lythea. Question 1 says, I did a straight pull of the MEPS data using the active student tab with the most recent only as an option and records added since blank. I compared this list with the 1.18 and found that there are more students on the MEPS file showing. How do I pull the MEPS data so only those with an active migrant record shows up?
I wonder if that one might be a ticket needed so we could dig into it a little deeper and look at the students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Lythea, if you could please submit a ticket and give us maybe 1 or 2 SSID examples that are showing up on your MEPS file that aren't showing up on the 1.18. That would be helpful.
I found the answer to Doug's question. It's the developer just checked it in, so it's just got to get through testing. So it'll either be there Tuesday or probably the following Tuesday at the latest.
Sounds good. Next is Charlene, question 1. Piggybacking on Laura's question regarding ERDs, most of my ERDs are from 23-24 school year. And yes, I switched to 25-26 school year.
Yeah, I pulled up Charlene's ERDs and they look accurate to me. What's missing at the top of the screen, it doesn't give you the ERD from and through dates that we have a calendar on the back end. And when I checked that, let me get back there, it was the ERD start date is May 15th, 2024 through Census Day of this year. So it looks like your type C ERDs were in the June timeframe. So that appears to be working as expected.
Okay. Next up, we have Aaron from Tulum County, SELPA. Question 1 says, we have a student who was in a county-run preschool program last year under his birth name, and this year enrolled at his district of residence in TK, but he was enrolled with his adopted name with a new CALPADS record. His SPED information is connected to the birth name. How do I merge the records to reflect under the correct record? So this student has a MID, is what it's multiple SSIDs for the same student, correct? But you're just not seeing, CALPADS probably isn't recognizing that it's the same student because they have a different name. So in this instance, what you want to do is in the anomaly screen, I think Gary's taking us there, but if you go to the maintain multiple identifier, the mid screen, there's a button at the top that says resolve MIDs not on report. And that's the button you want to click. You want to have the 2 SSIDs, enter the 2 SSIDs, and then CalPADS is going to do the mid-merge for you, even though it's not, the student isn't identified on the report. The only thing with that is just you have to make sure that the student's enrollments won't cause a concurrent enrollment, otherwise CalPADS won't let you merge. So long as one of them is closed, then you should be good. And Kyron, I see you typing something. You want to just shout it out, or
I'm
you
just posting the link to the user manual instruction on
His
resolving
usual
hidden
plug for
academic.
the UM. And Gary, you were right
Shameless
to
plug.
navigate there because the
Yeah,
production again. It still shows the PIA. So
yeah, I figured.
Oh, okay.
right. Yeah, that just automatically loads for ABC Unifieds for us. So
But Aaron says that they tried that and it said the student wasn't owned by our LEA. So yeah, so in that case, it should be the district of residence that should be making that merge then. I don't know if you've reached out to them yet or not, but if you let them know, hey, this is the other SSID for the same student, then they can do that merge and CalPADS will let it.
Yeah, the other LEA's SSID is the focus ID because it has the earliest enrollment.
Mhm. Okay, moving on to Sarah. Question 1 says, do CTE courses have to be year-long courses? Our high school wants to create a 2-course pathway, 1 course in the fall, a 2-period long class, and a capstone course in the spring, also a 2-period long class. I don't think it has to be year-long.
I've never heard.
I wasn't sure either. Nate's on. Nate, do you happen to know the answer to that question? Maybe he stepped away.
In terms of CalPADS, we're not validating the length of a class, right? So we're just taking it at face value. Whatever you tell us, this is what we'll accept. But I think maybe this is a program question if you want to email CTE program office at CDE.
Also, they're doing away with the requirement for the hours.
Mhm.
So as long as you have the grades that meet the requirements, like was it C- and above, then that should be fine.
Oh, Nathan Holmes is trying to
He
answer.
is typing
Yeah,
now.
he is.
Maybe his mic's not working.
All right. So I'll let him respond to that and we'll move on to Lily from Napa County, SELPA. Question 1 says, student with disabilities is turning 16 on December 7th and does not yet have transition indicators filled out in the current IEP. Next annual is scheduled for December 9th, 2 days after the 16th birthday. Should we advise CM to hold an amendment now to add these items to meet the timeline and then hold a full plan review when due in December?
I don't think that's necessary. I think your best course of action, Lily, is to just update the plan record that's in CalPADS currently to ensure that the responses are not blank. And then at the December plan review, just as long as the case manager ensures that all of those transition elements are in the plan and indicates as such in those fields, you'll be good to go for end of year.
Moving on to Yadira. Question 1 says, with vacancies, if we have a long-term sub on census day, will that teacher be reported as a teacher of record with a 12 and non-classroom based assignment as day-to-day sub? Yes. Another plug for the user manual, but there is a really cool chart that says which teacher of record gets reported. So I think Kyron is already putting it in there. But yes, if there's a vacancy, there's no teacher for that class at all, right? Then you would report the sub that is teaching on census day. And yeah, the Fall 2 roadmap. And they're on it says scenarios for reporting teacher assignments when teacher of record is on leave. Yeah. Yeah, so scenario number 4. And then I believe the one right below that, how to report teachers, there's also, yeah, that one. If you scroll down a little bit.
She had a second part to her question too,
Oh.
which we didn't answer about do I give them a non-classroom based assignment as day-to-day stuff?
Mhm. And I think from that chart that Gary has up on the screen, that's where we see that. It says job class of 12, 26, or 27, and then a non-classroom base of 60, 14. So yes, a non-classroom based assignment should be populated. And I see that Nathan responded to Sarah, so I'm going to mark that as answered. And we're going to go on with Eugenie. Question 1 says, if a district received a student with already overdue meetings due to the previous district not holding the IEP meeting, will this impact the receiving district for overdue meetings? And for additional context, the receiving district held a 30-day plan review amendment meeting.
Yes, once a student enrolls with you, their timelines are your responsibility. Since the student transferred in with an overdue timeline, what you should do, or what the district should do, is send up a pending meet record with the transfer delay code. And the pending meeting date should be the day the record is posted. That will explain the lapse in the timeline while the district works to hold the meetings that were not held.
Right. Laura, I see your question too. We'll circle back. Moving on to Marie from Aries. Question 1. If a student is a no-show at the beginning of the school year, should their enrollment start date and enrollment exit date be the same day as school starts or the day before school starts? Is there a preference? So CALPADS will allow both. However, for students with disabilities, we've said that the no-show should be, both dates should be the same. So enrollment and exit date should be the same date. For the gen ed population, you don't have to. I mean, I should go back and say that the reason why we advise that the dates be the same for students with disabilities is because it impacts reports. If the end date is the day before the start date, then the student doesn't show up in some reports. And so we want the students to be included. Therefore, we want the dates to be the same. Now, our guidance is do the same for everyone, because then you don't have to worry about which students do I have to do it the day before, which students do I have to do the same day. And so as best practice, I think it's just easier for everyone if you just use the same date, start and end date for all no-shows, and then you don't have to worry about it. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add.
Alex, the only thing I was going to add is it seems that part of their question is whether or not the start date and exit date should be the start of school or the day before school starts.
Oh. So the start date should always be the day that school starts, right? It's whenever the student was expected to start school. And so that would be, let's say the first day of school was August 15th, then this enrollment start date should be August 15th. And therefore, the exit date should also be August 15th. Did I answer that? Okay.
It probably wouldn't really matter though, because if it's a no-show, they're not going to show up. If it's using the same dates, they're not going to count
You're
anyways.
right.
But
And you know what?
just use the first day.
to be fair, CalPADS doesn't have your calendar, so CalPADS won't know
Yeah.
if it's your first day or not. I just think, you know, for your purposes, it's just easier to remember. It's just the start date should be whenever the student was expected to start school, right? So don't make it harder by saying, oh, it's just,
Yep.
keep it simple. CalPADS is hard. Moving on, Angela, question 1. We are getting students being labeled as LTEL on our source report, but they became EL last year, though their U.S. initial start entry state is, for example, from 2019 since they came from a private school in the U.S. Is this accurate? Should these students be labeled as LTEL?
I thought there was a minimum of so many years before they're labeled LTEL.
7, yeah.
7, yeah. And I thought that was from when they became EL, not from when they first started school.
I know that there were different dates that were being considered to determine the LTEL. I think, Angela, that I feel like I need this in the ticket so I can do more investigation. I don't think I can answer this at the top of my head. Someone else wants to take a stab at it,
Well,
but
we're also not the people that are compiling that information in that report. So that's a whole different division at the Department of Education. It's the accountability folks. And so they have that dashboard email that might be a better place to get a direct answer to see exactly what fields they're using to calculate LTEL
Oh,
students.
Rebecca just added it.
yeah, the definition that source is using. Okay. So yeah, I
Huh.
think Angela Ratty is correct, Angela Mata.
Sorry,
We are.
not us. I thought we had a flash on it though, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Where
Okay.
we give the 2 definitions.
Right. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. Is it 311?
I found the slide in the regional slide deck. I can put that in chat as well.
That would be helpful. Thanks, Matt.
There's a link on the CD site that I shared. It provides you scenarios too, with the cohort, LTEL, and ELs.
Just bombarding Angela with all the different kinds of documentation you could possibly find. Okay. Sharmila, we see your question 2. We'll circle back. Carrie, question 1. For our initial evaluations, we start an enrollment for a preschooler or private school student based on parent consent date for the assessment, which helps monitor the timeline, and then we exit at N470 the same day. We were told these meet records don't show up in end of year, so has CalPADS shared whether we adjust their enrollment to match the meeting date or if we create a second N470 enrollment until the student eventually attends if they are found eligible? I believe we landed with the latter, where a second N470 to overlap the meeting will be added. And I remember because I wasn't a fan of it, because then it's just another N470 that doesn't really exist. But that is what is needed at the moment. Dominic, do you remember any other guidance?
That's what I remember as well. And I just also wanted to clarify that the enrollment should typically remain open until the student's assessment is completed, because if they're going to continue on, then they should maintain that enrollment as they would with any other student.
Great. Yes. Okay. Next, Sharmila, we see your question 3. We're going on to Clarissa, question 1. Regarding Title I, Part A targeted, non-school wide, how does the district know which services received codes to enter in the Title I program record? Are there any guidance from CDE or CalPADS? I think the services received is just based on what is happening locally in your schools, right? So whoever is, Rebecca says it's from CARS. Yeah, so the schools that are targeted, that are Title I targeted, come from CARS, and it is that winter release. But which services received codes you use is going to vary and depend on what services are being rendered for the students, right? Whoever is managing those programs at your schools should know what it is that they're providing. I don't know that we have any other guidance. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Clarissa. I know that that's maybe not what you wanted to hear, but we don't know what you're offering. So it goes back to locally who's providing those programs, and you have to kind of keep track. Moving on, Larnie from Oxnard, question 1. How do we use the new course code 9701, 9702, and 9703? Are they going to be used the same way as 9231, resource teacher? How do we attach these course codes to the student with disability? I don't know that there's, I think that there was a flash that came out. We'll start there. The flash talked about the new codes, and I believe that it said that it was so that, and actually I'll just wait for, I don't want to just start making things up, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So at the bottom there in bold, it says guidance for using new codes. Can everyone still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can
My
hear you.
headphones made a noise and I wasn't sure. So, so it says there that they were added because it better provided the CalSAS people to be able to monitor the teachers that were assigned to those courses held the appropriate credentials and authorizations. So I would say if the teachers are if there's a course that is specifically for that, what is it, like impaired? If
It's
you scroll up.
visual impairment,
Yeah.
orthopedic impairment, and hearing impairment for the 3.
Yeah. So I would say if you have specific sections or in your master schedule that are for that, then this is the opportunity for you to use those state course codes. And you would use them the same as you did for your 9231, right? So it's in the course CRSC, course enrollment file. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add for that one. Larnie, if you're still needing more clarification, you can submit a ticket and we can help you.
The definitions in the
Oh.
code sets are also pretty detailed. So it says, for example, for 9701, the visual impairment instruction, it says this course may include but is not limited to instruction related to Braille reading and writing, tactile graphics and adaptive math, orientation and mobility skills, and independence and advocacy. So there is a lot of detail in those definitions. I would look at those codes, Larnie, to make sure that all of the criteria for those codes would apply to your course.
And then Larnie does say that 9231 does not require students. And Kareem is saying it's the teacher, more than likely the teacher would be an itinerant teacher. So that's what I want to clarify, is that the code 9231 itself doesn't mean that you don't have to report the student's course section or the students enrolled in that section. Instead, with that, the job class 27 of itinerant teacher, that's the one that gives you that freedom to not report the students enrolled in that section. So you can use the 9701 and all those new course codes. So long as you use job class 27, then you don't have to give us the students enrolled in the course. Moving on to Cheryl, question 1. Will there be an error code populated in discrepancies for missing degree of support? We have that. Chris, I think maybe Chris posted that one, Plan 658. Thank you, Chris.
Quick with the
So-
draw too. How did he do
I
that off
know.
the top of his head?
Maybe he was clearing one. I don't know. But yes, it should already be implemented, should already be triggering, and it's based on disability 1 or 2. If you have a certain disabilities in one of those 2, then it will trigger, and you don't have the degree of support populated, then it will trigger that error. Moving on to Lori from San Diego Unified. Question 1. There are 3 new languages in the language CALPADS code set. All 3 are already referenced within existing languages in the code set, either in the name or in the current descriptions or both. The previously existing codes may need to be updated. I submitted a ticket regarding QAD, Mixteco, which is new, and OTO, Tomian languages, Mixteco, existing. But my question may have gotten mixed up. We have already been using OTO for Mixteco.
Yeah, I saw your ticket, Lori, and I sent it up to CDE level 2 because I wasn't able to explain that either, unless Alex, you know off the top of your head. No, okay. And I know they're usually on the call here with us today, the CALPADS operations office, but they had a conflict, so there's nobody from that office here today. But I did just double check, and it's still in their queue, so you can still hang on for an answer for them.
And with that, I think we've answered all question 1s. We're going to circle back and answer question 2, starting with Corey at 303. It says, similar question, another student at juvenile court school was enrolled May 13th through May 15th and exited with an E140 reason. Then were enrolled at the same school on June 18th. What exit reason should I use for this one? And then follows up saying, I'm hoping T168 would work in this scenario also. I mean, I would,
That's what I would think.
yeah. Because I mean, to me, the E140 would be that the student dropped out, right? They were still expected to stay with you, and then they weren't showing up, and after SARB or after your full investigation, you just couldn't locate it, so it's a 140. Versus a student that completed their juvenile court sentence and was going to return to their home district, that would be a T168, I would think. Okay. We're going to go forward with Teresa. Question 2 says, the case manager for a pending Part B initial preschool student was inquiring what the correct program setting would be for this student if she qualifies and attends her preschool program. 203 separate class for 3 hours, 50 minutes per day, and then a regular early childhood preschool program 201 the remainder of the day for 3 hours. I'm thinking the selection be based on whether she attends the majority of the day, so 203, but wanted to confirm.
Carrie replied with the resource that is perfect for this, the LRE decision tree.
Awesome.
So then based on that, you would just go down the flow chart, answer the questions, and then make the determination. And the determination is an IEP team determination.
Moving on to Laura, question 2. In regards to the MEPS file, I downloaded it earlier this month. I was planning on downloading it monthly by using most recent only, and then the date of the day after I last downloaded. Will that be accurate? I think that should be fine. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be okay. Right? We're going to go with that. That's A-okay, Laura. Moving on to Sharmila's question 2. Our migrant coordinator has been providing student lists from the portal, similar to Foster Vision. Sorry, I can't remember the acronym. Now, do we not add that to CALPADS if the student does not have a migrant program code in CALPADS? That is correct. You're not going to add any migrant programs anymore. In fact, it's disabled, so you can't. CalPADS will reject it. We're going off of whatever file gets sent to us from the migrant office. It's in the flash. I forget that. It's the acronym is
EMSIN.
EMSIN.
EMSIN, yep.
But yeah, we're just going off of whatever they give us. So we're one less thing for you all to give us. We're giving you instead. And then Sharmila's question 3 says, is there a census checklist? It is. 3 guesses where?
User manual?
User manual, yeah. Fall 1 roadmap.
And then you get another 3 guesses, whether it's in the fall 1, fall 2, or report mapping guide.
Yeah, I guess both would have it, but it is, yeah, right below the milestone. Or is it?
I think it's right above it.
Oh,
Right
right
above it?
above it.
mouse.
Oh, there
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
that little hyperlink.
There you
And
go.
it's not just for Census Day, it's just for the fall 1 submission.
True. Yeah, I guess I should rephrase my
When I read her
answer.
question, I thought, I wonder if folks have something like that from their SAS vendor. If the vendor might provide you a day of, here's some things you need to do.
Yeah,
Maybe check with your support team there.
that's right. Thank you, Angela. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. But yeah. For fall 1, we have a checklist. Yeah, Census Day, not so much. Okay.
The fall 1 checklist, though, does have pre-snapshot activities in there, so things you can do before Census Day, and now is a great time to start looking at those pre-snapshot activities.
Mm-hmm. All right. Moving on to Yadita's question 2. Dominic, if we have a scheduled reevaluation IEP scheduled for October 2nd, the IEP already pre-filled out this future section. However, it is populating as an unaffirmed IEP. The IEP team cannot reschedule it before October 1st. What should they do? Remove the future IEP date of October 2nd and leave it blank.
So that's in SACE, if you populate the future IEP date, then SACE will give you that homepage notification that you have an unaffirmed IEP. It's harmless. It's just letting you know that there's an IEP out there with a date in the future date that has not been affirmed. The guidance that I always provided was to not put the date in the future forms until you're sitting down at the meeting, because anything can happen. But as far as changing the date, you don't need to reschedule unless there is some particular reason that you want to reschedule. You can leave the date as there and just ignore that warning. And then once you hold the meeting and the meeting is affirmed, of course, this IEP will fall off of that notification list.
Next up, we have Lori. Question 2 says, for the new course codes 9701, 02, and 03, are we also able to submit those with a job classification code of 27 for staff that may be doing push-in support, or must there be students in those sections? And then says, thanks, I think you answered that yes. The 27 job class can be used and submitted without student enrollment. Correct. Yeah, we're not restricting that for the new course codes. Next up, Cheryl's question 2 says a follow-up for a prior question. It looks like Plan 658 is for invalid degree of support. Is there also one for missing degree of support? And then Plan 658 guru, Chris, says that it's missing will flag this as invalid as well. So yeah, I believe that the validation is saying either it's not the correct combination or it's missing altogether. Next up is Teresa's says, regarding attending the preschools, she will attend both. The decision tree makes a choice, right? Oh, this is on the setting, the program setting. She is attending both schools, the majority at the separate class preschool.
Yeah, you would just go down the decision tree. For example, if the student, you determine how many hours the student is in the regular early childhood program, or if they're in a different special education program. Teresa, if you want, you can submit a ticket or send an email to SPED data support. And we can take this back to the team and discuss. But essentially, the LRE decision tree should help the case manager make that determination.
And with a minute before 4
Perfect
o'clock. Oh
timing.
my gosh.
Plan that out well. Uh-oh.
Oh no, just kidding. It's okay. We still have 1 minute, Larnie. Let's do this. Question 2 says, since race and ethnicity are used in determining disproportionality, are there any recommendations in keeping these data as accurate as possible? We are a high school district and collect enrollment data through online registration. There's a high probability that a different race and ethnicity will be collected. What's our next step? Should we contact the family to clarify, or should we just keep it as is, as it was when provided to us?
Is this a CDE question?
I don't have any particular guidance on ensuring that you're collecting accurate race ethnicity information. I know it comes in through a lot of sources, whether that's online enrollment or the parent dropping off the registration packet. And even then, you may have one parent describing one or selecting one and another parent selecting another in the following year or even at an IEP meeting. So typically, we would just recommend accepting what they provide at face value and going with that.
Alrighty. And with that, at 4
We're
o'clock,
done.
we are done with questions.
So
Link
prompt,
to the
Alex.
LRE. Thank you. If we could provide the link to that decision tree. Thank you, Gary.
I just put it in the chat.
Okay, make a run for it, Alex.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for helping out, Dominic and all my CSIS folks. We'll see you next week. Same link, same time.